Good afternoon, everyone. I am Mickey Campo, Director of Community Growth at Innovation Guelph, and I welcome you to Innovation Guelph Presents Toolkit Tuesday. I'm really excited that we could be here together today. I would like to first welcome our two friendly American Sign Language interpreters whose time today is graciously provided by Asign. We previously know them and have talked about them at these Toolkit Tuesdays as SLEO, but they've recently rebranded as Asign. So Samantha and Liz, thank you for being here with us today, and thank you to Asign. And while I'm at it, I'd also like to thank our corporate sponsors, Ernst & Young, Reese Informatica, Invest in Guelph, and BDO. We're very grateful for their support. And quickly, I'd like to give some recognition to the land that Guelph is on. We do acknowledge that many others here today may be on different land in other territories. So we invite and encourage each one of you to give recognition to the land that you occupy today and every day. As we gather for today's event here in Guelph, we're reminded that Guelph is situated on treaty land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history and home to many First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people today. As an organization that's based in Guelph, we have a responsibility to the stewardship of this land on which we live and work. Today, we acknowledge the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation of Anishinaabeg peoples, on whose traditional territory we are meeting from. Today's webinar is called Why Your Innovative Assets and Ideas Need Protecting, with Nicolas Dizel, Intellectual Property Advisor with the Canadian Intellectual Property Office. In case some of you are new to Innovation Guelph, I will promise I'll run through this really quickly. A little background on Innovation Guelph. We are one of 17 regional innovation centers. And while we're located here in Guelph, we actually serve the entire region of Southern Ontario. And we have one national program. So this means that while most of our clients are here in the Guelph and Wellington area, we do have clients in BC to Nova Scotia, all throughout Ontario. So we work with our clients and we help support them through multiple stages of business growth, from startup to scale up, everything in between, with lots of different programs, workshop, mentorship, networking opportunities, and an annual trade show. But now I would like to talk to you a little bit about our speaker here today, Nicolas. So so Nicolas is he's an intellectual property advisor from the Canadian Intellectual Property Office. He holds a bachelor's degree in education, which is going to make him an excellent teacher today. He has a certificate in public communication from the Université Laval. He's been working at the CIPO since 2015, starting as a training officer in the patent branch. In 2018, he became a business services design and development officer, where he created digital products and resources for the CIPO website on a variety of IP-related topics that directly support the national IP strategy launched by the federal government. Since then, he's gained extensive knowledge of the IP ecosystem in Canada, and I will tell you there is definitely more in his bio that you can read there on your screen. But I think out of anyone that could be here with us today teaching us about IP and strategy and what's going on with the federal government and how businesses can take advantage of the support and learning what intellectual property is, I think he is probably one of the best people that we could have here sharing this information with you. So Nicolas, I'm very happy to hand things over to you so you can teach us all what you need to teach us about. Should anyone have any questions today, you can put them in the Q&A section, which should probably be on the bottom of your screen right now. Just type them in. Adelaide will be following along and jump in and ask Nicolas the questions. He'll also do some time checks with you too, and ask for any questions here and there throughout the presentation. So please make this as interactive as you would like and ask questions when you're ready. All right, so Nicolas, over to you. Take care.
Hello, everybody, and thank you very much for the introduction. I'm Nicolas Desiel. I work at the Canadian Intellectual Property Office as an IP advisor for the Ontario region. So it's my great pleasure today to give you a brief overview of why your innovative assets and ideas need protecting. So we will talk about intellectual property, the foundations of IP. It's offered by the Canadian Intellectual Property Office. Let's begin. So the first thing I do want to start by talking is who is the Canadian Intellectual Property Office and what do we do? So we are responsible for administering and processing IP rights in Canada. So IP rights are territorial and managed by the IP offices of countries around the world. So in Canada, this is us. We are responsible to administer, register, administer and grant IP rights for Canadians. CIPO is part of the Government Department for Innovation, Science, and Economic Development. So we handle application guidelines and forms and examination used in the process to issue patents, trademarks, and industrial designs. And we also work on increasing IP awareness among Canadians. And you can see on screen that the number of applications we received for the 2020-2021 period. And you can actually see we do get quite a lot of application. This is over 130,000 unique applications from all around the world. That's over 500 per business day. We handle a few hundred calls and emails each day to answer questions about intellectual property. And you see on screen that trademarks is the type of IP right for which we get the most questions, with over 75,000 applications are sent to register trademarks in Canada. Now, as I mentioned before, when talking about CIPOs, what would we do? We also work to raise awareness for the effective use of IP by Canadians. So to this end, our IP awareness and education program delivers a range of products and services which are free of charge. And this is to help Canadian companies gain a better understanding of the importance of protecting and managing their IP assets. So our services can help you understand what IP is, how to identify your IP, how to protect your IP, how to manage your IP, as well as where to find more help. And you can find more help either through our website, online, or in person. So this is the agenda for today's presentation. So if we start in the upper right quadrant, I'll talk to you about what is IP. So what is it all, what's the basic principles of intellectual property, as well as resources that CIPO has to offer you in terms of learning about intellectual property and identifying your own IP, how you can protect your own IP, and as well as where you can find more help, because my mandate is limited to education and awareness. I am not in a position to provide legal counsel or legal opinion. This will have to be handled separately with an intellectual property lawyer, a patent agent, or a trademark agent. But for any questions you may have on different IP concepts and just learning about it, I'm certainly in a position to help you with that. So let's begin. Let's do a quick overview of what IP actually is. So IP comes from a creation of the mind. You might hear that ideas are protected as IP, but it's actually the form an idea takes when created that can be protected. A few examples of IP include brands, logos, inventions, original artistic works, the visual appeal of designs, and secret recipes or formulas. So IP is literally everywhere. It's all around us. And we find most businesses have some form of IP, whether it's formally protected or not. In business, IP can set one's goods or services apart from others. So IP is called property because, just like real property, rights are acquired with ownership. Like when you own a building or land, you can sell it, lease it, trade it, and keep others from trespassing into your space. Same with IP. You can sell it, license it, trade it, and exclude others from using it. Also, like real property, IP is a valuable business asset. So on screen, you can see traditional types of IP and the registered rights that are associated with them. So let's start with trademarks. So trademarks are a sign or signs that distinguish one's products or services from those of others. So it could be letters, words, symbols, designs, sounds, even scents. It's what consumers often first see and how they can navigate the marketplace. So it's about being distinctive so that consumers can easily identify a trademark with the associated product or service. You can also think of geographical indications, and those link a product or service to a given place. It could be a country, a region, or an area. It informs consumers of characteristics or qualities due to natural or human factors for that location. So common examples are agricultural products like wine and dairy products, and even local handicraft. Geographical indications provide a way for businesses to protect their geographically unique products. Another type of trademark you can consider are certification marks. This is for products that must meet certain criteria in order to comply with a defined standard. So you can think of organic products. Such products would need to meet certain criteria for it to be organic in order to have the organic mark on the label of the product that they're selling. Same for Wi-Fi capabilities. If you are designing a new invention that relies on Wi-Fi capabilities, you will need to make sure that your invention meets the criteria for Wi-Fi in order to have that on the label of the product that you're selling. Let's move on to patents. So patents are all about functionality. It's about the technical solution to a problem. It applies to new or improved products, machines, processes, and compositions of matter. The invention to be protected has to be new to the world, useful so that it actually works, and inventive. These are the three criteria to get a patent for the invention. Again, it is novelty, utility, and inventiveness. Moving on to copyright. Copyright applies to original expression creations that use some level of judgment and skill. It's not just a copy of another work. So you can think of artistic works. Usually people understand that copyright protects artistic works, such as musical works and screenplays and photography, sculptures, and fine arts, things like that, absolutely. But also copyright does protect literary works in the form of mobile application and software code. Using such coding is a form of language in itself, and it does constitute a literary work, which can be protected by copyright. Moving on, let's talk about industrial designs. Industrial designs is about things that appeal to the eye, right? So think of novel and unique shapes and patterns, which can be applied in finished articles, clothing articles, or fashion accessories, even tech devices, and graphical user interfaces. So if you own a smartphone, which you probably do, you know that your phone maybe has a lot of IP incorporated into it. It has certainly a trademark, most likely has one or many patents, as well as copyrightable material, either from the website that you're purchasing it from, or instructions manual, things like that, and even industrial design, because your particular smartphone may have a unique shape, which can be protected by an industrial design. And to complete the loop of the different IP rights that you see on screen, there are plant breeders' rights. Now, we don't actually administer those here at CIPO. However, they are very similar to how one would go through the patent process, very similar to the patent process. So it's about protecting new varieties of plants. And they're handled with the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. Before I open the floor for initial questions, if you have any, IP also includes valuable information. The previous slide was about the actual exclusive legal rights to which you can protect your innovation. So let's say I have a product I want to sell in the marketplace, and I have a logo that I've designed, and I want that to be on the label of the product that I want to sell in the marketplace. I can decide to protect that as a registered trademark, because a logo can be protected with a registered trademark. However, if I have a recipe for any sort of let's take spaghetti sauce, for example, or an energy drink, you cannot patent an energy drink or any sort of recipe per se. However, that doesn't mean that it's not intellectual property, because I came up with the recipe. I came up with the secret blend of spices in my for my protein or my spaghetti sauce, to use a very easy example. So I may rely on what we call a trade secret. Now, a trade secret is about protecting the secret through your own means, whether it's locking the information in the vault, lock and key, or limiting access to information for your employees or people with whom you work. It's about preserving the secret, because the value of the innovation lies in its secrecy. It could be a method, a technique, any proprietary know-how, research, data, formula, recipes, etc. This is a way you got to make sure to protect such intellectual property through trade secrets in order to prevent competitors from stealing the idea and running away with it and basically copying the idea and profiting on your back. You want to avoid that at all costs. So trade secrets are a form of valuable intellectual property. And lastly, I want to talk about websites and domain names and trade names and social media accounts. Now, in this fast-paced digital era, data-driven economy, we rely a lot on the internet and how we communicate and how we reach out to new consumers. And we try to basically secure new market shares outside of Canada. So the internet is a great way for that, to facilitate that. You may want to get a website or a domain name or a social media account in order to drive consumers to your virtual address so that they can actually purchase your products or solicit your services. So if you have a domain name, a website, a social media account, for example, it is intellectual property, because you have created something. It comes from the mind, whatever the human mind can create and think of, and crystallizing the idea into something real that's fixed, whether it's on paper or whether it's on the internet or on the website. You have intellectual property that is worth protecting. So again, this slide and the previous slide were about giving you the big picture of what IP actually is. So before I talk about this particular slide, I will take the opportunity to open the floor for any initial questions. I do see a question in the Q&A, which I'll take right away. Can we either patent or copyright our digital courses? Initially, my response to that would be that you cannot patent a digital course. A patent applies only to products, machines, processes, or compositions of matter. So prescription medication, for example. So a digital course doesn't meet such criteria, because it's not a product of a machine or made by hand, although you have probably designed it with your own hands, creating the course. This would actually be better protected with a copyright, because it is considered to be a literary work. If you create a digital course, you're creating text, you're probably going to be adding pictures or even sounds, voice, audio clips, things like that. If they're all original, you created them, all of these can be protected with copyright. Now, I will get into a bit more about what copyright encompasses in a few slides, but you should know at this point that copyright applies, it actually starts at the conception of the original creation. So if right now you are writing something down a recipe or a poem, for example, it's already protected by copyright. That's a basic concept of copyright protection. However, it doesn't carry a lot of weight in court, for example, in case of litigation. So what you would want to consider is obtaining your copyright certificate in Canada with us at CIPO, so that you're in a better position to claim that you are the rightful creator and owner of an original work. So hopefully that answered your question.
Nicola,
Yes.
another question has come in going
Sure.
back to trademarks,
Okay.
asking, do I need to trademark the business name itself and the tagline separately?
So a few things here. So a trade name is different than a trademark. So a trade name can be like the business name that you go about to sell your products or services in the marketplace. So you're going to do that most likely provincially. You can incorporate at the federal level. The trademark is about protecting the visual identity. It could be a logo, a word, for example, for which you want the product to be associated with, so that the average consumer, when they see or hear or maybe smell or listen or touch the mark, they know exactly what the product, where it comes from, who's behind the product. So the tagline, the slogan, could also be protected by trademark, but the caveat here is that it'll take time, right? A slogan, when you start going out in advertising campaigns with a slogan, people at first will not understand what the slogan is about and what product or service it's associated with. So this will take time in order to make the case that the slogan has people can make the association with it. And only at that point, you could try and trademark a slogan. Now, we all know slogans that are trademarked because some slogans have been around for many decades. However, a slogan is protected by copyright, because a slogan, if you came up with a little coined phrase, something catchy, something original, you're basically creating something new, and that's protected by copyright. So just to recap, you should consider protecting the logo or the word mark with a trademark if that's something you want to pursue, but the slogan will have to wait a little bit more. But it does benefit from copyright protection because it's considered to be a literary work. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Do we have time for one more that came in through the Q&A?
Yeah, sure. Can a recipe?
All right.
Okay, I'll read it aloud. Can a recipe, unique change of traditional content product be protected? Well, I mean, intellectual property is all about protecting, right? This is the overarching message the message I'm trying to convey to all of you today. You do want to protect any innovation at all costs, and this could be through various means. So any innovation, everybody can innovate, really. So whatever innovation, how small, minimal or big innovation that you create should be protected, because you don't want anybody stealing or using or copying your innovation and profiting on your back. So even a recipe, a unique change for traditional content product, for example, if I'm going back to the question, if there's an innovation there and you are not infringing on anybody else, then you're in a position to protect your innovation, even if it's a recipe or a unique change to a method. I mean, there's been a lot of, even how we make coffee. If I go to a very easy example, making coffee, there's many ways one can make cup of coffee. You could do it with those single serve coffee pod machines with a filter. There's many ways, right? But it's still the same principle of making yourself a cup of coffee. So whichever way, that if it's an innovative way, a new way, then yes, you can actually protect that. And it could be with a patent, it could be with a trade secret. Again, there's no cookie cutter, clear cut answer I can give at this point. It's a really case by case, but protect your IP at all costs. I guess a golden rule that we give a lot to our clients that we meet is don't disclose, don't talk about your innovation until you know how you want to protect it. If you want to keep it as a trade secret, that's fine. If you want to try and get a patent for it, that's fine as well. But until you know how you want to protect it, you're better off not disclosing publicly. If you want to disclose privately with your friends and partners and children, that's your business really, but publicly you want to avoid that because this could backfire. And really just keep it close to the vest until you know how you want to pursue with the innovation. All right, thank you. So on screen, you see that IP is a way to unlock the value of an idea, right? So IP is more than just patents and trademarks. It is, but I mean, it's much more than that. It's like a diamond in the rough. If you dig deep and you scratch and you find this beautiful diamond that has a lot of value, IP is pretty much the same for a small business. It can help you grow your business, right? If you have IP, if you innovate and you know what your IP is all about, it could help you grow your business. It will help you attract investors and secure financing. You want to get investors to invest in your project or get the bank to give you a loan. If you show that you have IP, it can actually be a catalyst for that and secure more financing and funding opportunities. It can help with reputation and goodwill. If you have a good logo or a cool, a clever name for product or service, and you make that positive association with consumers in the marketplace, that your product is a high quality product, it's a reliable product, it's an available product, an inexpensive product to purchase. This actually helps build reputation and goodwill. People are going to trust your brand and like your brand, and they may keep coming back and purchase your brand. So that's what you want. It can also give you an edge over the competition. Why would a consumer purchase product A rather than product B? Well, it could be the IP that's going to set one's good apart from the other. The IP could be better for product B, for example. It could be a better mark, a better trademark, better technology that's protected with a patent. It could be things like that. So, I mean, the IP could be the competitive edge that's really going to set one person's products or services apart from those of others. And lastly, it can also help secure your position in key target markets. Let's not forget, we live in this, as I said, globalized economy, data-driven economy. Everything's interconnected with the internet, and you can buy anything from anywhere, really. So if you get IP rights in the markets, in the countries that you're interested in, it could really secure a better position for you to do business in such countries. If you want to go to the US, for example, the United States are our closest neighbor in proximity, as well as it's a huge market. There's a lot of opportunities in the US to make business. So if you secure a patent in the US, if you get an American patent, you register your trademark in the US, you're basically putting yourself in a better position to do business and to protect the innovation in all of the countries in which you want to do business in. So I have a few data points for you. So registered IP rights, increased protection. So having formal IP rights. So formal IP rights are patents and registered trademarks and a registered copyright certificate and a registered industrial design. They can protect your core business assets and what makes you unique. It can help you obtain exclusive rights in the marketplace. And this one's very important. Seek compensation against copycats in case of infringement and theft. Let's not kid ourselves. Theft and infringement are things that happen a lot in IP. People get their ideas stolen, taken from them, and copied and sold as under lower quality products or counterfeited products or gray market goods, things like that. And this could be detrimental to a small business that makes genuine products with certain quality standards. So having such IP rights can actually make you in a better position to enforce your rights. So if you detect that someone is trying to steal your idea and you have a registered patent for the technology, you're putting yourself in a position that you can stop the other person from using your technology. Whereas if you don't have a registered patent or granted patent, it'll be a bit more difficult. I'm not saying that it's not possible. It's still possible, but it'll require a bit more legwork from the legal side, maybe with a dedicated lawyer is going to work on your case, and that can be time consuming and financially consuming as well. So maybe getting an IP right, registered IP rights with us at CIPO for Canada can actually put you in a position to protect that. Another data piece that's interesting, small and medium-sized enterprises say that IP is important to support growth. So 59% said it supports growth to enter new markets. 58% said it's good for goods or services development. And 50% said that it's good for research and development and innovation. And this comes from small and medium-sized enterprises, maybe like yourself. That's what they said. It's real people who said this. So, I mean, this is why IP can be very important for small businesses. Another data piece is, same survey really says that IP's contribution to the overall business performance, it helped increase business value, increase the revenue, strengthen long-term business prospects, as well as expand markets and increase employment. So, right, these are all great things, I guess, for a business. For a small business, as they want to grow up and scale up, I mean, these are all great things. So, I mean, IP could be your best ally as you progress. Now, before I move on to our CIPO services and how we can really better help you learn about IP, I will take an opportunity to see if there's more questions from you guys. I do see there is a question. Could you post the URL from the beginning of the slides with the option to talk to a consultant?
Nicola, I can find that link from the CIPO website. And
All
it's a great question. So that link will be available. And everyone who is registered, you will also receive a copy of today's deck by the end of this week.
I was trying to answer the question, but I mean, it's mostly a URL. Okay, link. So perfect. We will make sure you get that. Thank you. Right. So, so CIPO can help you with a variety of resources and products and services. So even this webinar is part of our service offering. I mean, it's free. I'm really here to help people learn and talk about IP because it is a hot topic nowadays. So people really need to understand that IP is not this big complex beast. I mean, it's based on laws and that can be complex, but it's really fairly accessible, I find, because it's all around us and we can all create IP. And I think we all create IP to an extent. So first thing that CIPO can help you with, we have fact sheets. If you go on our website, you will find fact sheets on the various IP rights. So you can see them. This one's for industrial designs. So it's a one-pager document that'll basically tell you that at a kind of the overview of what to expect to register, for example, industrial design. How much is it going to cost? How long will it take? What are the criteria? You know, things like that. This is a great way to start learning about the various IP rights. Another thing which we're very proud of are our self-study courses. There are 7. I designed them, so I'm very proud of them. Just a quick plug. They're about 15, 20-minute long courses that you can take. They're at your own pace. There's no grading. So it's, you know, just do the course at your own pace. And whenever you have a few minutes to spare, and you're going to learn a lot about IP through the various courses. So some are more novice, for a novice audience. So what are trademarks and what are patents, for example? And we have more advanced courses like planning an IP strategy and commercializing your IP. So again, you can find those on our website. Another resource that's very useful for people is our recorded materials through podcasts. They're called Canadian IP Voices, and you can find them on our website, on our and on popular streaming platforms like Spotify. That's something you would prefer to use to listen to the podcast. You can find that on Spotify. So again, these podcasts, they cover a wide variety of topics on IP, and they're very interesting because we actually get guests to talk about IP. It's not just us talking. We get people, engineers and lawyers and CEOs and chairs of, you know, different companies, and they're really there to talk about their own experience. We got one on Amazon and how they handled infringement. We have one on the FIFA World Cup, which took place in the fall of last year, and how they handled counterfeited material at a global event. So a lot of really good topics are to be found on this podcast series. Next one, we have an inventory checklist, IP inventory checklist. I was in Toronto last week for a convention, and I had a booth, and I had this checklist with me at the booth, and people were just, you know, grabbing that checklist because it's a very useful tool to have. It's a very easy way to learn about IP, at least from what your business has, right? So it's going to tell you like, okay, do you have a slogan? Do you have a logo? Do you have an algorithm? Do you have training materials, right? So it's going to tell you what you could consider in terms of IP at a glance. So this is a really useful tool. It's one of our more popular tools on our website, the IP inventory checklist. What you're seeing on screen, the in-person assistance, this is kind of what the work I do as an IP advisor for the Ontario region. I meet with Ontario businesses, entrepreneurs, and I have colleagues that cover the entire country. So if you have, other partners that are based outside of Ontario, you could refer to the intellectual property advisor in the specific province where they're located. But I'm in Ontario, that's why I'm here today. And I can have one-on-one discussions with you. I can have tailored meetings with you. I can listen to your needs and what you want to learn more about IP, and I can help you take the first steps in protecting your IP. Now, I do want to mention something at this point. My sandbox, to use an analogy, is limited to, I cannot provide any legal counsel, right? I'm not a lawyer by training. So if you have specific questions on, you think someone's infringing on your innovation, or you want to instigate, some sort of a lawsuit against someone, I won't be in a position to provide you with guidance on that. That's out of my mandate. But anything that has to do with raising awareness and educating, I guess, raising what we call the IP IQ, I can certainly help you. And our client service center, right? It's a toll-free number. I think you're going to see a slide coming up soon. It's a toll-free number. You can even write them an email. They answer general inquiries type questions. So where do I click? I can't find this particular page, or how much does a patent cost? Things like that. They'll be in a position to answer questions on that. We have roadmaps. So again, very popular tools we have here on the CIPO website. It's going to take you through the journey of filing all the way to the actual registration of the IP right. So you want to get a registered trademark, for example. It's going to show you visually speaking. You may not see it very clearly on this particular slide, but if you go on the website and see it full screen, it's going to show you the journey that it takes from filing and then examination and then to the registration of the right. So from start to finish, pretty much. And we have step-by-step guides that can help you along the way on a variety of other related topics, such as stopping IP theft. We have also fact sheets on specific topics. So hiring an IP professional, right? So as I said, I cannot provide you with any legal counsel as part of my mandate. However, we have a fact sheet that actually tells you where you can turn to either hire a lawyer or hire a patent or a trademark agent to work on your case. So we have that on the website. And we have other products on very specific industry sectors, such as clean tech, software, for example, and standards. Again, IP, as I mentioned before, is a national jurisdiction concept, right? So whatever IP right you get in Canada from us at CIPO grants you protection only within Canada, within our country. So if you want to get an equivalent in other countries, US, Europe, Asia, whichever you want to go, you will have to go through a similar process in each country because they're based on their own national laws. So we have guides on that. We have guides on how to protect your IP abroad. Now, they're overview guides. It's not going to tell you the fine detail of how it works and how much it costs, but it'll provide you a good idea of what to expect in some of the countries you actually see on the slide, Australia, Brazil, China, etc. So main key trading partners for Canada and big market countries usually where people want to export and do business in. So we have guides for that. On our YouTube channel, you'll be able to find more information and videos on how you can protect your IP abroad. Now, how to manage your IP. Again, this is about creating a strategy. And the analogy I can make is like when you're playing a board game, right? When you play a board game, you're setting the game up. You have different components. You have a board. You have cards. You have a dice or chips, things like that. But until you play the game, you're not sure what's your strategy going to be like to win. So it's similar, right? You can have a whole bunch of IP technology, copyrightable materials, things like that. But you need to put a strategy in place so that you can really leverage the various IP assets that you have, so that you have a coherent way and a strategic way of using them to your benefit. Could be to grow, scale up, to export, to invest, and create new IP again. So there's a lot of things, but you need to create a strategy. So we have resources that can help you strategize your IP assets. So the first one that you see top left corner on the slide is what we call the IP strategy self-assessment tool. And this tool is great because it's going to ask you a few questions, maybe half a dozen questions for your own profile. So what kind of business you are, how many people are employed, do you have any IP, things like that. And it's going to generate a guide. It's going to generate kind of a tailored guide with considerations and first steps, right? Because doing an IP strategy can seem daunting at first, like, how do I start? What do I do? This guide will actually give you some help in that regard. It'll give you first steps you may want to consider in strategizing your IP. So we have resources on that as well. And finally, the service for the IP advisor. So I'm an IP advisor for Ontario. We help our partners and clients understand the strategic value of IP. And we will provide relevant, objective, and tailored information. And on screen, you see the clients that we have. I'm sure you fit in one of these categories. It could also be just the general public, right? If you have any question on IP, we are in a position to help you have that conversation with you. So our services that we can offer are training sessions, and they're confidential sessions, I must say. If you meet with me and you want to disclose your innovation, feel reassured. It's still up to your discretion to disclose or not, but it's going to be in a confidential setting. I will not disclose anything that's not part of my mandate. I can't do that, so it's going to be a confidential session. We can be in conferences, trade shows, and panel discussions. So let's say Innovation Guelph wants us to come in and meet you guys in person, or to do a webinar as part of another event. We are in a position to do that. We actually like doing that. And as I said before, we offer Canada-wide coverage. So we are in British Columbia, in the Prairies, in Ontario, in Quebec, and Atlantic. So we are across the country, really. And you see on screen what the services we cannot provide that I've mentioned already. And the reasons why you should contact an IPA, right? Because first off, it's free. This is the biggest selling point. Hiring an IP professional could be expensive, and so our services are free up to the limit of information we can provide, and we can really help you increase your knowledge base and be better prepared when you meet with an IP professional. We can really get your knowledge level up, and that you're ready to have that conversation if you need one. And it's going to save you time and money. So if you want to contact us, you can find that information on our website. On screen, you do see the URL, and it's going to take you right there, and you can schedule a meeting, or you can send, for example, me an email, and I'll be glad to set up a meeting with you. If you do need to hire a licensed agent, a patent agent, or a trademark agent, or a lawyer, you can turn to the resources you see on screen, either the Canadian Bar Association for a lawyer and the Canadian College of Patent Agents and Trademark Agents, if you want to find a patent or a trademark agent. So these people will be able to answer questions and provide guidance, more technical things, specifically legal matters. So if someone copied you, or you're being accused of infringing on someone else and you don't know what to do, you can turn to these people. They are in a position to help you with that. So these resources, and once again, you're gonna have the slides after the presentation, so you can have the links to these groups of people. So before I conclude my segment of the presentation, because I have a quick other resource I want to talk about in the next slide, we're on the social channels as well. So if you're interested, you can like and subscribe our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, our LinkedIn page, as well as our Twitter feed. And you'll be able to be kept apprised on how CIPO is there to support our Canadian businesses and entrepreneurs, and again, really helping you increase the knowledge base of IP. Now, I do want to talk about another program that's interesting, which is called ExploreIP, right? This is a program that's offered by Innovation Canada. Now, ExploreIP is an online database that's designed to enhance collaboration between the public sector institutions and industry. So as it's stated in the mandate, it helps improve the way that companies find and identify existing IP held by Canada's public sector, right? So it's giving them access to research that can be licensed and or commercialized. So in simple terms, ExploreIP is a centralized database that hosts IP assets held by the public sector institutions. So if in your particular company, you are trying to, I mean, it's hard to do it all. So if you find a gap, a technology gap that you can't fill, you could turn to ExploreIP in order to license technology that exists, that belongs in the public sector, and you could license that for your own company so that it's filling that gap, that technology gap that you cannot fill yourself. So the way it works, it's a big kind of repository, big database where you're able to search by sectors, by keywords, and you're going to be able to find opportunities for licensing. So it's a great way to connect with other federal department groups. National Research Council is the big one because they do a lot of research and development, science, things like that. So of course they have a lot of technology that's protected, that's available for license. So it's like an IP online marketplace, right? So instead of buying a used good, you're trying to buy existing technology through a licensing agreement. So that's how you should see it. So you can actually click on the contact button. It's going to take you to the right page, and you can filter through what you're trying to find by industry sector, by type, by cost, by asset type, things like that. You'll be able to really narrow the search down so that you find what you're looking for. You can save your search so that you don't have to redo everything from scratch every single time. That's one interesting feature. And there's a collaboration feature as well. If you want to collaborate with others, you have IP yourself, and you want to collaborate with another public institution, let's say NRC, National Research Council, for example, you can instigate a collaboration with those groups, and together you're both combining your efforts and sharing your IP through licensing agreements, and it's really a win-win solution in the end. So here's a quick overview of the numbers regarding the database. So there are 46 technology areas. Green innovation, which hosts various clean technologies and similar tech that's designed to help with Canada's net zero transition. Chemistry, which includes a variety of life science technologies and pharmaceuticals, among other subcategories, as well as mechanical engineering, instruments, and electrical engineering. So again, the database has 62 IP holders nationally, and there's about 5,000 different opportunities. So there's a lot of opportunities for you to grab and secure the technology that you're trying to maybe to fill a gap that you don't have, or collaborate. So there's a lot of, this is a great way for businesses just to collaborate within Canada and to reach out to the public sector. So this is called ExploreIP. And you on screen, you do have their contact points. So you're more than, you're very welcome to connect with them after the session if you want to learn more about the platform. So that is the end of my presentation. So I guess now we can open the floor for any questions you may have on what I've talked about. Thank you in advance for questions that have been asked so far. I'm very happy to see that you had questions, so it shows that you have interest in IP. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicolas. There is a question here in the Q&A stating, you mentioned earlier that IP starts at an idea. If that idea came to fruition and we did not copyright it, do we still have grounds to sue for infringement?
Okay, so a couple of things in this question. So absolutely, IP starts with an idea. So this is the humans, that's how we're designed, right? We're designed to think, we're designed to dream, we're designed to imagine things, right? So this is the basis of innovation. It's about thinking ahead and doing better and progressing, right? So it starts as an idea, but an idea is not IP per se, because an idea is up for grabs. It's in the air, it's floating around. So it's what we call public domain. Anybody can just grab the idea and just make it their own. So it's until you actually materialize the idea, you crystallize the idea, then you can start talking about property because it belongs to you. You have something that people can see, touch, hear. These are things that actually have a property component because it's not just the idea, it's the next level of the idea. It's something that we can see, touch using our senses, right? So if the idea came into fruition, I'm seeing a copyright angle, so I'm going to use that as an example. Let's take music, for example, because it's an easy example. So I have an idea for melody in my head, but until I can actually play it on the piano or on the guitar, whatever, it's just an idea. But if I actually write the melody on the piano, now I have something that's fixed onto something. It could be music sheets, it could be just hearing the melody because I can actually play it on the piano, right? So this, I do have IP at that point because it's my idea that came into fruition. And musical works, like any sort of artistic works, has copyright protection at conception. As soon as I write the melody on the piano, I do have, technically speaking, copyright protection. However, if there's a litigation, it's going to be hard just to say, well, no, I came up with that melody first and you did not. That's why it's worth getting a copyright certificate because it's $50. You get it at CIPO. It's going to basically give you a certificate that tells that you are the owner of the work. Now, CIPO, we don't ask for proof that you're actually the one that made the melody. We're going to take your word for it. And the reason for that is that, can you imagine if we received all the various works that people would create, musical and photos and fine arts, we would have to compare that with all of the different works that exist. It would be an impossible task to do, right? So we take applicants' word for it. So if you say, and there's kind of a declaration you need to it's basically you just check a box. I solemnly declare that I am the rightful owner of the work and I'm the creator of the work, things like that. You're basically, it's like an oath. You're basically agreeing that you are the rightful owner of the work. So we're going to take your word for it. All we ask is a title of the work. So if it's a picture, does it have a title? Well, you have to give it a title. If it's a musical work, if it's software code, you have to give it a title. You pay the $50. You pay a little, you provide more information like your address and your name and things like that. Very limited information. We don't ask for much, and you get that certificate. Now, what that certificate does is the good thing is that it creates a public record. People can now look online to see, is there a melody that's called such and such a name? And if so, they're going to find your work because you protected it with a certificate. So it's going to deter them from copying you because you registered for a copyright certificate. So recapping the answer I'm trying to provide, do you still have grounds to sue for infringement? It depends because copyright provides initial protection, but it's going to be hard to pursue a legal action if you don't have any sort of public document, an official document that's issued by the government. So a copyright certificate could be a good way to get that official document that you need in order to instigate any sort of infringement, law action, lawsuit action, things like that. Again, I'm not in a position to provide with legal expertise, but this makes sense still that it's better to be preemptive rather than reactive. So it's better off securing the rights to the innovation preemptively than waiting too long, because if you wait too long, it could be too late. You won't be able to get the IP right to which you're trying to protect the innovation for. It'll just be too late. So it's the personal decision. I'm really here to help you make an informed decision on that, but you're better off being preemptive rather than reactive. This is the best way I can kind of sum it up. All right, so there's another question I see in the chat. Is mailing an idea to yourself one way to protect that idea until it can be properly registered? A way to create a certificate that can show the earliest date for this idea? This is a great question. This is a myth that I have to unfortunately debunk. So it has no legal weight per se. So if you basically you write something down, could be I don't know, a poem. Let's take a poem, for example. You put it in an envelope, you mail it to yourself. So you're going to get that Canada Post stamp saying that postage information, the date, and it's a myth. It doesn't carry any legal weight. I mean, you're welcome to do it if it's something you would like to have, just out of your own personal interest, but in terms of the legality of it, it has no weight. You're not going to be able to use that in a litigation issue. What you're better off considering is getting the real copyright certificate. If we're talking about copyrightable materials, let's say artistic works, you're better off getting the certificate in order to declare what the copyright certificate does is that it kind of makes it a public record. So you're declaring to the world that I am the rightful owner of this work. I am the creator of this work, and I have rights. So that's why you want to get such rights in order to be in a position to make these kind of declarations that you have rights. It's very similar to real property, right? So if you own a house or land, as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, you have rights. So if someone comes into your house, you have the right to say, get off my property. You cannot be here. I have rights. And no one can come into your house and tell you, like, I don't like the color of paint you chose. You have rights. So it's very similar in that regard. Until you have the official right to the house in which you live in, you have no rights to the house. So, but once you do have them, you're in a position to exclude others from trespassing, from entering, from whatever. It's very similar to intellectual property. Hopefully that answered the question. Yeah, okay, excellent.
Excellent. I think that's all the questions, Nicola. Thank you so much for going through everything with us today. I love how you kind of could speak to IP in a way that spoke to so many different kinds of learners. So I guess that's the teacher side of you coming and shining through. I love that. I love the visualization of grabbing ideas. Anyway, so thank you so much. And if anyone on the call would like to connect with Nicola or any of his team, we can certainly help you connect with him. So you can reach out to Adelaide or myself and we'll get you in touch. As Adelaide also mentioned, we will be sending out the slide deck and posting this video on YouTube and sharing any resources with you by email by the end of the week. Before you all go, Adelaide's going to drop the feedback form link into chat, and we'd really love it if you could follow through. Definitely give us feedback on today's session, but also kind of give us a couple ideas of what you'd like to see in future Toolkit Tuesdays. I'd love to hear about what you think about the session and what you would like to see in the future. So again, a big thank you to Nicola, to Asign Interpreters, Samantha and Liz, to all of our sponsors, to Adelaide, of course. Thank you so much for all of you being here today. I really appreciate it. We hope you come back again next month.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming.
See you soon.